Hey guys, looking about the Sony Miss. They're going to be doing NFL Week 10 score predictions. I'm doing this a little bit late again. It's 6. It's basically 7 o'clock already. So I'm going to try to keep it pretty short. I'm doing this on Thursday, so yeah. Sorry if you're seeing this right after the Thursday Night Football game or whenever. But anyways, we're going to keep on. I'm going to keep on doing this. I can't control my schedule because I have school. Alright, sorry if you saw that little flash of the score there. But anyways, starting off with Thursday Night Football, Titans versus Colts. This is going to be an amazing game. This is going to be a great game. We're going to have two powerhouses, in my opinion. Now, you can say what you want about the Colts. I think that they're still a very, very good team, despite what they did last week against the Ravens. I think the fact that you saw, even though yes they lost, their defense still looked really good against that Ravens offense, which yes has not been as good as they played last year, but still has been pretty good. Their offense didn't look very good, but it's been off and on, so not too much. I still expect them to play pretty well against the Titans, who are mainly an offensive-focused team. And then you look at the Colts, and they're a very defensive-focused team. So this should be a very good game to watch. I think it's a bad matchup for both teams, which makes for a pretty good game. Titans, on the other hand, are playing really well. They have played really well all season. And I expect that to continue into this week, where I think it'll be 28-23. I do think the deciding factor will be the fact that I think the Titans' offense is just one of the best, definitely, in this league, and I think it'll be good enough to get them a win here. I think it'll be pretty close, but I definitely think they'll get the win. 28-23. Next up, Browns versus Texans. The Browns have Baker Mayfield, and they are ready to roll coming off of a bye week. The Texans come off of a win against the Jaguars, where they didn't actually look too good. They only beat the Jaguars by 2, and that was simply because Gardner Minshew was injured, and they had a missed 2-point conversion at the end. It was a very, very close game with a Jaguars team that is being led by a second-string rookie quarterback who's thrown into the action. And in my opinion, I don't think that looks very good on the Texans. They did get the win. That's going to look good in the future when you look back and you say, oh, they got a win against the Jaguars. But no, it really wasn't. And the Browns, they come off a bye week. They lost, I think, 2 out of their last 3. But still, they looked like a pretty good team. And I'm not going to fault them for that. They're 5-3. I'm pretty sure they're still playing pretty well. I don't know how else to say it. I think they'll get the win over the Texans 27-20. I think it'll be a bit closer because, like I said, the Browns did just lose 2 out of the last 3. They didn't look spectacular, but I do think they get the win. I think they improved to 6-3, and they remain desperately clinging to their hope of winning this division. They are definitely playoff contenders, but this division is slipping out of their hands fast. It's not even their fault. It's the fact that they have some of the best teams ahead of them. Next up, Lions versus Washington. Should be a pretty good game. You have the Washington team that's defense. I know that they just lost, but their defense still played lights out, 5 sacks, and they still played pretty well. And their offense, though, in the first half looked horrendous. Alex Smith went in there. Second half looked pretty well up until the last 2 minutes. In the last 2 minutes, Alex Smith threw 2 interceptions, so that is not looking too good. If you took away the last 2 minutes, we would be saying that Alex Smith is back and ready to roll. He did throw for over 300 yards, but again, those last 2 minutes did happen, so that kind of bumps down their offense. But I do think that their offense did get a big boost with him coming back. You may say, oh, well, he threw 3 interceptions. Who cares about 300 yards? He went and threw in the Rams game that they had. He played for about the same amount of time and threw for 37 yards. This game he came and played for just a bit longer against, yes, a admittedly worse defense than the Giants, but still going from 37. I don't care if you're going from Steelers defense to Jets defense. Going from throwing for 37 yards to throwing for over 300 is definitely a huge improvement, knocking rust off. And I think after getting a week of first reps, I think Alex Smith will be back this weekend. That being said, the Lions do have a very, very good offense. Matthew Stafford was off last week, but still, I do think that they're playing pretty well. Their defense is also pretty well. I think it'll be good enough to where it'll be a pretty nice game, but in the end, I think it'll come down to the fact that I do think the Lions' offense is much better than Washington's. Even with Alex Smith back in, they don't really have very many receiving options for him. Their top receivers really are Terry McLaurin, who is admittedly a very, very good receiver, probably top 10 in this league, and then their tight end, I'm pretty sure his name is Logan Thomas, and he drops everything. He'll have the ball thrown right into his hand, and he'll just drop it. They target him like crazy, and yet he just can't catch. That means he's a bad receiver. So I do think the Lions get the win here only by 6 points, 27-21, but still I think it's a pretty close game. I don't think Washington gets I do think Washington gets a loss here, drops to 2-7, and if the Eagles beat the Giants, which you'll see later how I think that might play out, the Eagles will have a 2.5-point lead and may start running away with the division. But again, it's the NFC East. Anything can happen. Next up, Panthers versus Buccaneers. Panthers, they had a little bit of hope there. Then Christian McCaffrey got injured with a shoulder injury, and he is now out for, well, he's not out for this game, but he is doubtful. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of times I'll say whenever a player is questionable, I'll assume they're going in, but when they have that little D beside their name, they're doubtful. Yeah, I'm just going to assume they're not going to play. He'll probably be back the following week, but this week not in there. And yes, they have played pretty well with Mike Davis in, but you have to understand Christian McCaffrey is a huge boost, and yeah, a lot of people are going to say, oh, well, they almost beat the Chiefs last week. That had a lot to do with the fact that Christian McCaffrey's back. I do think they'll get slightly worse this week, and we saw how they played against the Buccaneers. They didn't play too well with Christian McCaffrey. Now they're losing him. I think the Buccaneers get a little bounce back here. Yes, they didn't play too well last week, but that was against a much better team in the Saints. I think they win here 38-27. Kind of put the beat down on them, kind of bounced back. I think Antonio Brown is a big part in this game. I don't know why. I just have a feeling, mainly because he's on my fantasy team, and I hope that is what happens. Not another, but an NFC East battle here, Giants versus Eagles. This is a really good game because, like I said, if the Washington football team loses and the Eagles win this game, the Cowboys have a bye week, so that will mean that they will be 4-4-1, and their division rivals will be 2-7, 2-7, and 2-8, which is, yes, 4-4-1 is a terrible record, but being 2.5 games ahead of your opponents, when yes, they are a very bad team, but so was their whole division, and the odds of the Washington football team winning 3 games, really 4 games before the Eagles can even win 1 is pretty slight. So I think if the Giants get the win here, then they kind of show that this division, because the Eagles have kind of been looking pretty good these past couple weeks. The Giants get the win here, they show nope, we're all trash. But the Eagles will still stay in first. They would just drop down a bit. That being said, the Eagles do have a pretty stout offense. They did manage to beat the Giants earlier, and I think it was a much, it was only like a 2-point game or a 1-point game. I don't remember, but I definitely think watching the game, the Giants didn't have much going on offense. I think that continues this week. It'll be another close game. I think the Eagles get a win here, 21-20, and get a little bit of boost in this division. The Giants, on the other hand, fall to 2-8, and it's really, really, really sad that a 2-8 team is would still be this alive in the NFC East. And yes, I know I just said they'd be 3.5 games back or whatever, but still it is the NFC East. I'm not saying the Eagles have won it in Week 10. Next up, Packers versus the Jaguars. The Jaguars, they actually, kind of showed up last week, but a lot of that had to do with the fact that the Texans just weren't playing all that well. Also, I'm pretty sure Jake Luton is still in as their starter. Let me see. Let me switch over here. Yep, Gardner Minshew has been ruled out for this game, and Jake Luton, the rookie second stringer, is being ruled in for this game. Going up against the Packers, who are an insanely offensive team. Their offense is one of the best in the NFL. They are ready to roll, and they are ready to destroy any team that meets them. I think that this will be a pretty easy game for the Packers. Actually, 19-point win here, 36-17. Completely demolishing to the point that, it's not only are the Packers, a much better team than the Jaguars, I think it's even a good matchup for the Packers. I'm going to put it as my lock of the week. This is the game that I'm most assured of that I think the Packers will win no matter what. Yes, the Jaguars could, in a miracle scenario, Jake Luton could come out and play like a god and score like 15 touchdowns. Play like Gardner Minshew did early in last season, early in this season. He could do that and come out. And maybe they would have a chance of winning. But at this point, out of all the games this week, I am most sure of this one. Next up, Cardinals versus Bills. Going to be a good one. I really like to be able to watch this, but unfortunately, due to all the zoning and crap, I can't. Which is tough, but still, I have to deal with it. The Bills got an amazing win last week. They kind of been dropping off. They were 6-2. They weren't looking very good. Which again, 6-2 is a very good record, but the fact that they had, I think, lost 2 of the last 3, and they had their win was an 8-point win with no touchdowns against the Jets, so it wasn't looking too good for them. And though they go out there, they scored 44 points. They beat the Seahawks by 10 points. Their defense didn't look too good, but then again, they're going up against the Seahawks. Cardinals, on the other hand, got beat by the Dolphins, who, yes, that sounds bad, but the Dolphins are playing lights out right now, so you can't really fault them too badly for that. But again, they did still lose to the Dolphins, who I thought were a worse team at the time. So I think definitely think this is going to be a very, very good game. But seeing how well the Bills played last week, I just cannot ignore that. I have to get them the win here, 35-30. Pretty, not very high scoring, but, not very low scoring. Yeah, a high-scoring game. I don't know why I even mentioned that, but yes, it's a pretty high-scoring game. I think the Bills get the win here, mainly because, I mean, their defense is very, very good, and their offense is also very good. They're just a very, very good team all around, but their defense is definitely one of the best in the league. But you cannot say the same for the Cardinals. Next up, Dolphins versus Chargers. Just talking about you, Dolphins. How'd you know? The Chargers cannot win a game. Justin Herbert is, I mean, I've seen people considering him for Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, mainly Offensive Rookie of the Year. Everyone's kind of looking at Joe Burrow for Rookie of the Year. But the Chargers, I mean, you have possibly, I mean, one of the, definitely, possibly the best rookie quarterback right now, which isn't saying much. We look at the Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa competition he has. By the way, rookie quarterback versus rookie quarterback, very interesting matchup here. Interested to see that. But the Chargers, they just cannot win the game. Justin Herbert is 1-6 as a starter. That's what I was trying to get to. The Dolphins, on the other hand, 5-3, are definitely still in. They're definitely playoff contenders right now. I think they're actually in the playoff picture right now. I think they're 7th, third wild card spot. They're still in contention for the AFC East right now. They're only 2 games back from that, so things are looking pretty good for the Dolphins with Tua Tagovailoa going in there and playing like he has been. The Chargers, though, they just cannot win a game. And the Dolphins, they went out there, and yes, you could say, oh, he's 2-0 as a starter. He was playing against the Rams and the Cardinals, two of the I mean, the Rams are definitely a very, very defensive team, and whenever you put a rookie quarterback up against that in his first ever NFL start, and he goes out there and he wins that game, I don't care by how many points, it looks very good on his resume. The Dolphins are looking very, very good right now, and I think they get the win here. Surprise or not, 31-27. They move up to 6-3. Meanwhile, the Chargers the Dolphins being 6-3 is not something I expected to happen, so I'm kind of dumbfounded. But the Chargers, they lose. They drop to, I think 2-7. Yeah, 2-7, and this season's basically over. Yeah. Next up, Raiders versus Broncos. The Raiders, they got the win against the Chargers last week. The Chargers choked. Well, the Chargers didn't choke. The Raiders almost choked. They almost allowed a touchdown with 1 second left, but it was overturned. It was a drop, and the Raiders got the win. Meanwhile, the Broncos, they managed to lose pretty badly. Yeah, it was only like a 7-point win, 7-point loss, but they still managed to lose pretty badly to the Falcons. They only scored 6 points in the first 3 quarters. They redeemed themselves in the fourth quarter, but still, you cannot ignore that for 75% of that game, they played like a very, very trash team. And they have been doing that for the last couple of weeks. They have not been playing very well at all. Meanwhile, the Raiders have kind of been off and on. They're kind of, just above average. They're 5-3. They're in the hunt for the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. They are definitely playing really well, and I think, the Broncos, I think they might be better. I know. I talked a lot of trash about them in the offseason. I think they're better than their record. I think they can keep it close, but in the end, I think the Raiders do get the win 27-23. They get knocked up to 6-3. The Broncos get knocked down to 3-6, which is a very iffy record right now, especially in the division that they have. Next up, Rams versus Seahawks. A pretty good divisional game here that we're going to witness. Sorry, I mixed up divisional and defensive. It's kind of the same, but never mind. And this is actually seeing what we saw last week, how the Raiders played against the Bills. The Rams are kind of that same kind of team. And we saw whenever the Rams and the Bills played against each other, it was a very, very good and very, very competitive game that came down to the last drive. And I think, this shows that this could be a pretty bad matchup for the Seahawks. That being said, that was a surprise game that we saw last week. The Seahawks are still, a very, 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 very one of the best teams in the league. I had them at third in my power rankings, and for good reason. They are insane. And the Rams, on the other hand, they just had their bye week, and before that, they only scored 17 points on the Dolphins, who, like I said, were playing really well, but their defense hasn't necessarily been the best part of that. And I think that, I think the Seahawks are going to have to get the win here. I think they get a bounce-back week here. They win 34-24. Sorry, Rams, but y'all are going to have something crazy happen because y'all are 5-4 right now, and y'all are kind of falling out of contention for this division, just saying. Next up, we have Steelers versus Bengals. Steelers, did not look good last week in the slightest. They only beat the Cowboys, the Garrett Gilbert-led, injured out of their mind Cowboys by 5. But they're still undefeated. They're still 8-0, and that's something to celebrate about. They're 8-0, and they get to play the divisional rival in the Bengals, who have been playing pretty well right now. Joe Burrow has gone there and played. You've probably heard a million times, but Joe Burrow has gone out there and played like a veteran quarterback. He's looked really, really well now as he develops. I'm excited to see that. That being said, the Steelers possibly have the best defense in the NFL, and I doubt he can put up those kind of numbers. Oh, no. Crap. I forgot to. I knew it whenever I was making these predictions. Don't you worry. But Ben Roethlisberger's injured. Still, same thing being said for their defense. However, their offense is definitely going to be stunned by the fact that Ben Roethlisberger is out. But you look at last year, you see what they did when they had Mason Rudolph. They still played pretty well, good enough, I think, to kind of ride their defense to the win here. It would have been my lock of the week if Big Ben had not been injured. I knew that Big Ben was injured whenever I made these predictions, okay? That's why whenever I was kind of sitting here talking about it, I was like, why isn't this game my lock of the week? Like, I know the Bengals are good, but the Steelers they can beat any team. But that's because Mason Rudolph is injured. So, yes, this is what I think the score will be. But, dang, I almost slipped up there. I was about to start talking about Big Ben, so I looked over, and I was like, oh, crap. Big Ben's injured. This is why I put the depth chart up on my computer over. All right, next up, Saints versus 49ers. 49ers, whew. Yeah, they are missing about half of their roster to injury. They will be for, I think, the rest of the season. Yeah, it's not looking too good. I think they're missing Jimmy G until week 16, and I think they're missing George Kittle until like the divisional round of the playoffs. They're 4-5 right now, going up against one of the best teams in the league. Things are not looking good for the 49ers, and I think they're only going to get worse. Yes, they managed to beat the Eagles with kind of the same roster, same injuries. I think this is the second time that Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle have both been injured. I think it happened back in week 2, and now it's happening again in week 10 or week 9. I think that they lose here pretty badly, 34-21. But I definitely think that, they're going to show a spark here. They're going to be 4-6, though, which is not good. 4-6, come on, 49ers. But, yeah, I think at 4-6 with the Seahawks, the Rams, and the Cardinals in their division, and also in their conference, a really, really stacked conference. This season, this might be a very important game for the 49ers. Yes, they're pretty roughed up, but they need to win this game. They need to. Okay, for morale, for statistical sake, they really need this win. Moving on to Sunday Night Football. We're moving on to primetime. The Patriots versus the Ravens. This probably looked like it was going to be a really good matchup until we got to week 10, and now it's not looking too good. The Patriots, yes, they got a win last week. Congratulations. Y'all beat the Jets by 3 when they were probably trying to lose. They did a lot of crap. They played terribly. The Patriots about to kick a field goal. Why don't we accidentally take a penalty to give them the first down? What? Oh, we have a chance to make a drive down the field. Why don't we throw a terrible pass when Joe Flacco's been playing great all game? I'm not saying anything, but when you're 0-8, why would you beat a divisional rival? Just saying. The Ravens, on the other hand, their offense didn't play too well last week against the Colts, but it was good enough. They scored 24 points. They did manage to, play good enough to beat the Colts. And you go up against the Patriots, they're kind of like a slightly worse, or not slightly worse. They're like they're the same type of team as the Colts. They're really defensive, and their offense is off and on. Actually, the Patriots, their offense didn't do half bad last week, obviously. They got the win, but even Cam Newton, he played pretty well. And again, I'm going to attribute that to the fact that the Jets' defense is just one that might be the worst in the league. But the Ravens, I think that they're going to take advantage of that. Pretty easy win here, 11-point win, 27-16. I think that they will be... I'm kind of worried for the Saints. I really root for Lamar Jackson. For some reason, I just don't root for Patrick Mahomes. He just gets on my nerves. But Lamar Jackson, I do. I feel like, everyone hated him after his first year, and now he went out there and proved they were wrong. And then he's going to be 7-2. Yeah, the Ravens, but I am kind of scared for him because I don't know how well they could fare in the playoffs. We saw how, Lamar Jackson is bad in primetime, and with how bad his offense is being this year, yeah. But we're not talking about the playoffs, we're talking about this game. For all we know, they could sign every single good player in 1 week. Who knows? Next up, Monday Night Football, the last game that we have to talk about. I'm so sad. I clicked. Is it not going to let me go to the slide I want to go to? Which is slide 30. There we go. Monday Night Football, Bears versus Vikings. The Bears, what happened, man? They're 5-4. Their defense is still playing good, but their offense is slacking off. They are playing them pretty bad. This is turning into a very good, not very good, but a very, very important game. Because if they want to have a chance in this division, this is a must-win. If they want to have a semblance of a tiny chance to possibly get a divisional win under their belt, they need to win this game. It will give them a little boost, and it will show that, yes, they are not terrible, and I think that they can do it. I think it'll be really, really close because the Vikings have played really well these past 2 weeks. They beat the Packers, and then they went out and they pummeled the Lions. But I do think the Bears should win here 21-20. I think it'll be really close. Would not be surprised to see the Vikings knock the Bears back to .500. Let's talk about the Vikings just for 1 second, because they are the other half of this game, and I think I should mention them. They are 3-5. They could be 4-5 after this game. They could be 5-5. They still have a shot at this season. It is a long shot, and it is a desperate shot, but this season is not over for the Vikings. I don't care what you say. All right, that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching this whole thing. You are amazing. Please subscribe to this channel if you like football. We do videos every single day of every single week of every single year of the 5 months that I've been doing this. But I hope to see you in the next one, which is going to be my Thursday night reaction. Thursday Night Football is in just over an hour from now whenever I'm recording this video. So I hope this game is as good as I expect it to be. I hope the Titans win 28-23. Well, I don't hope. I'm kind of rooting for the Colts, but who cares? For this video's sake, for my ego stake, I hope that they win. Go follow all the stuff in my description. Please subscribe. We're trying to get to 107 subs. Oh, look at that. We're already at 106. I had no idea. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Hopefully. In fact, I know I'll see you in the next one. Or else.